Hey everybody, it's me. I'm already back. I had my first live conversation with Tanya from My Jewelry Addiction, and I had such an amazing time, and you guys were fantastic, like I thought you would be. So I went to dinner, and with Jeremy, we had an awesome time, and I decided to come right back to you. So here we are. If you missed the live and you wanted to see my conversation with Tanya, it's on my community tab. So just go on over to the community tab and go ahead and watch the video. It's the top one in the feed as of right now. I decided to come back and do a quick video on turquoise, and I wanted to stay with vintage pieces out of my collection since that's where I started this collecting thing. And I decided to go with mainly turquoise or Native American cuff bracelets. I have a large collection of rings. I have a large collection of vintage squash blossoms, and I thought this would be at least quick enough to get another video up while I was still courageous enough to go camera up. So here we are, and thank you again so much for the support that you showed me earlier tonight and the love that you showed Tanya. And again, I owe her a big thank you for encouraging me to do this and to take the plunge. So Tanya, thanks again, my sweetheart. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for coming in and checking in with me again. I don't want to drone on too long because I don't want to lose you. I want to keep you engaged. So I decided to at least throw this together very quickly. I'll get in depth in future videos on certain types of turquoise, the mines that were used, exhausted mines that were used years ago that no longer exist. Talk about specifics, talk about lander turquoise, talk about number 8, talk about spiderweb. I probably will even talk about Chinese turquoise or imported goods at a later time so I can educate you on what to look for stones specifically. And I will also bring on an expert here from Cleveland, Ohio, who knows turquoise very much so better than anyone that I know. Local in the area. So first and foremost, I have all these kind of bagged up. They're in cloths. I haven't seen them for very many years. And I got them out of safety deposit because they don't reside in my personal space. So some of these I'm very unfamiliar with. So I'm not really sure I'm going to get into too much information at first if you stick with me. Just wanted to give you examples on Native American jewelry design and talk about some of the eras, if that's helpful, and I hope it is. The way I've done this is just through experience, as I've talked with you all before. Books that I personally have used. I'm not plugging anything. I'm not promoting anybody's books, but some of the ones that have helped me the most. Turquoise Unearthed, which is an illustrated guide to turquoise, colors, mines, and sometimes discussing the process of treatment and dyeing or stabilizing the stones. So that's very helpful to new collectors. It's by Dan Lowry, and it looks like, I think that's Joe Lowry, but it's an amazing book, and it's called Turquoise, and it's unearthed, and the guide is just fantastic. It's been so helpful to me. It goes into specifics. It even discusses imitation turquoise, and it talks about the different mines. So when you get into the turquoise themselves, let's see here. I'll try and pull up one of them very quickly for you. Let's see. I don't want that one. I don't know. I lost my place in the book, but it explains the mining process, and then it explains the coloration of the stones, and like I said, also the treatment of them. I had this bookmarked, but apparently, the best laid plans in my world also always go astray, apparently. So it does talk about Sleeping Beauty. So it has a full dialogue and a full diorama of Sleeping Beauty turquoise, what to look for. It's got the fox mine, it's got the blue gem mine. So again, a lot of these different turquoise have different matrix, different coloring, and different sizes too. Like some of them don't come out of the ground very large. Lander blue turquoise was a very small mine. It was considered a hat mine at the time, so small that you could put a hat over it and cover the mine. The Red Mountain Turquoise is one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. But this book is very, very helpful. So that one is one of the ones that I consulted all the time. Another book that I reached for quite frequently that my dog chewed on, my dog totally chewed the corner of it when I was sleeping one night, is The Indian Silver Jewelry of Southwest. It covers the time period from 1868 to 1930. It's by Larry Frank with the assistance of Millard J. Holbrook II. I don't like to get I shouldn't say this. I don't like to get much of my information off of the internet. I'm just not one of those people who likes to pull information off the internet and kind of regurgitate it. I don't learn that way. That's just me as a visual artist. So this is very helpful because it's a guide that really puts things that are historic and things that were important that we don't normally see today. Horse headstalls like this, the Quito Bogards. It just is a wealth of illustrated knowledge. And the book has been so instrumental and so helpful in me as to what to look for. Dating and being accurate in terms of ages on squash blossoms, ages on the Naja pendants, and also cuff bracelets and rings. And interestingly enough, it does discuss some of the crossover between the tribes. Sometimes we have a difficult time, at least some of us have a difficult time, in knowing if something is Zuni or if something's Navajo, because some design aesthetics, like the cluster bracelets, were borrowed back and forth between tribes. Sometimes can get tricky, and it explains that in this book. So we'll show you examples of both, and you kind of have to just let the information come in. And accept it for what it is, because this book is fantastic. It discusses early ingot pieces that were forged out of an ingot. That's definitely something that you want to look for. And it discusses some of the earlier pieces. So as I leaf through this book, I get so excited and I get lost in it because it does give so much information based on design aesthetics, what they were used for, and the time periods that they were used in. And it shows so many pieces of very early jewelry. So again, that's the book. I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic thing. So if you need some assistance, that's what I would use. Also, another guide that a lot of people aren't familiar with, that I became familiar with as an artist in school, I decided to look at design magazines. Arizona Highways were magazines that were produced mainly in the 70s, late 70s, and I believe into the early 80s. They were relatively expensive at the time, but they are fantastic. And they would feature Native American crafts, everything from Navajo to Zuni, also Hopi. And it gave life and breath to new things that were happening at the time. And we're so lucky for that, because some of these designs and some of these, shall I say, craft or how they were produced is a very good guide for us as current collectors. So we look for, me as a visual person, I look for things visually. So this really helped me out. It also featured work by Charles Laloma, who I've discussed in a past video and I'll discuss further as we go. And just a fantastic guide, just incredible, and a wealth of knowledge there. So definitely something that you can apply to your current collecting and help you out in the field if you're thrifting or at an antique mall to help you date things and help out there. Another Arizona Highways, and I hope I said Arizona Highways earlier. I may have blundered that, and if so, oh well, I can't change it now. So Arizona Highways, again, fantastic, beautiful, shows the artist, shows the turquoise, and definitely gives you a perspective of what was happening back then in the 70s and in the 80s, which we can apply to our current collecting now. One more book that I would like to talk about quickly before I go too far, Southwestern Silver Jewelry, extremely, extremely helpful. So again, I kind of avoid the online trap of trying to find current information. This book's amazing, by Paula Baxter. Schiffer's Publishing, they always have fantastic books, and this is no exception. So again, just remarkable, goes from early shell and turquoise beads to trade pieces, trade crosses, ingot forged silver pieces. Kind of gives you the rich history of the Native American craft. And I love seeing the old illustrations or old photographs of the Native people that had such a rich history and were so respectful of Mother Nature and the land. And it gives them, this puts a story to their life. And it gives you a visual dialogue of the things that they wore and that they cherished. And I love it. I simply love it. And I'm so inspired by it. And I hope those help you out. We're 10 minutes in and I haven't shown anything in silver or turquoise. I'll just go through this very, very quickly because down the road, I will get into more specifics. I just wanted to have the courage to come right back on here, show my face, and have another great video for you. I hope this is helpful. I'm just going to go with design aesthetics, basically. I'll probably stand on some of these to get them closer to you. So there's this one. This is Spiny Oyster and Turquoise. And this is a contemporary piece. This is completely hand fabricated. And again, made in the old inlaid style. But it's definitely not old. It is contemporary. And it was made within the last 15 to 20 years. So if you see this and it looks this new, it definitely is. They did this early on, but this is a contemporary piece and beautifully handcrafted. I had this one, I think I had this made, and I forget the artist's name, but it is native created, and it was custom designed for me out west. And here it is today. And beautiful amounts of sterling silver, very heavy, very thick gauge, and very wearable for its size. And I truly love this one. Onto a very large turquoise cuff. And again, not for everybody, but it's got about a 7-inch span. Again, all the turquoise are natural. They're not treated in any way. And that one, date-wise, it would be late 70s, probably into the early 80s at the very newest. It is signed on the inside. And again, I'll get into artists and hallmarks eventually. Great oxidation, and I'm a purist collector, so I don't polish any of these pieces. I leave them just the way they are with natural wear. Okay, so there's that one. And again, pretty fantastic. Size and scale. It's a beautiful piece, and I've worn it several times. I bought it at an antique show, and again, just fell in love. And each stone is completely hand set into a sawtooth bezel. So not machine set and definitely not Chinese import. Definitely Native American crafted. And I love it very much. And then some of the earlier ones that I have, there is a very early silver cuff that's completely plain. That would be right at about the turn of the century, if not just before. So again, tribally worn, not made for the Caucasian trade. And then this one is just absolutely beautiful from the 1920s, 1930s, again, hand fabricated and just beautiful. So I will take a seat and I'll kind of lay these out. And again, this collection has spanned about 28 years. This has taken me to amass, and I'll lay these out and I'll talk about these because they're very important. And again, I wish I was a little bit more prepared, but this was spur of the moment. And it was just something I felt like I had to do. So here we are. I chose to do it. I wanted to be with you. Trust me, I did. I guess I'll go with this one next because it'd make the most sense. Early native silver that was made for tribal use is getting incredibly and increasingly harder to find. And there's a lot of reproductions of it. I'll get into a little bit of how to tell the age of things. When you get into hand tooling, they actually made the stamps and the items that they chased and represented the metal with, they made out of old tools or files that had been altered and changed into a stamp. So essentially, when you see hand stamping, you'll know it. When you see machine stamping, it's very uniform. So look for imperfections in the silver surface when you're looking for hand stamped items. And again, I'm by no means an expert in Native American silver. I'm sure there are people who know far more than I do, but I'm the more practical person of application when you're out buying. And this cuff is fantastic. And again, just beautifully done, beautifully crafted. And you can tell that the stamping is very uneven on the outside edge, and the stamping on the inside where this is raised, and then you have stamping around here, you can tell that that is uneven. And you can tell that that is a file or a tool that was then altered to create a stamp. And then on the inside, where that raised kind of ovoid surface is, that is also repousséd from behind, and then it's chased from the front. So repousser means push from behind, and then chasing puts in the detail. So chasing and repousser is the technique as silversmithing goes. And then you can see that this bezel was completely sawn out by hand. So that's not a machine-made bezel. That's someone laboring over that and making it an incredible, incredible bezel to fit this beautiful green turquoise stone. This one, just again, 1920s, 1930s, light-colored turquoise. But again, beautiful, beautiful execution on the band. You can see that this is slightly more uniform. So not made by a file that had been redone, made simply by a stamp that was then used by the tribe as well. So it wasn't just one person using it. It was used across the whole tribe or the silversmiths that were producing. And then a scrolled border, and again, a beautiful bezel and a light, beautiful turquoise stone. So fantastic, and again, beautifully done, beautifully executed. But you'll notice on here that this is very smooth and very, very seamless in a way. On the earlier ones, which is this one, this cuff I was offered just over $6,000 for, and there's a reason why. This was not made, again, for the Caucasian trade or the white trade that came in. This was only supposed to be ever tribally worn. It was never supposed to leave the reservation or the native people. On the inside, I'm going to try and get close there and block out the rest of this. Let's see if you can see it. I'm going to try and get close. See how uneven that is in there? See how the silver has some stress lines and some lines that basically show the stress of the metal being moved. That is all completely chiseled out with a cold chisel and a hammer, and then that area is opened up. Notice how the bezels are inset from behind. There's a flat sheet, and then the bezel is on the front. So I guess technically I shouldn't have said from behind, but they're closed back set, and then each stone is set in an independent bezel or mounting, and then mounted from the front. On this, you can see these tiny little holes in the turquoise. So there's a hole drilled there, and there's a hole drilled there, and there is a hole drilled right there, and then there's a hole drilled right there. So there are holes that are drilled in the turquoise, and the reason for that is those were actually pairs of earrings. So these two on the outside would have been a pair of earrings, and the two in the center would have been a pair of earrings. So those were threaded through the ear with what would be considered sinew at the time. So the earrings were actually threaded through the ear, never on silver ear wires like today. But because those turquoise stones started life as earrings very early, pre-1890, I would say, and then set in this beautiful gentleman's cuff bracelet, probably right at the turn of the century, if not slightly before, an incredible, incredible tribal piece that is very special. Notice how thick the metal is. See how thick that is? That's another telltale sign that we've got something really, truly incredible and very important for tribal use. And then these were slightly more commercial. So you can see that this one, they were slightly more uniform in terms of the stone size and also the way the bezels are created. You can see that the silver isn't as thick. So again, produced for the commercial trade, not for tribal use. And again, beautiful turquoise stones, remarkable craft. And again, one that when I found it, I just thought it was absolutely beautiful and so important. So entered my collection and never left. I had dealt and sold silver and Native American turquoise vintage for about 15 to 16 years. Then I took a break from it, and then I went back to selling it, and still currently do sell some of the pieces that I find. So some are definitely for sale, but most, once they enter the collection, they stay with me because I feel that they're really important and I love them very much. This one, again, 1920s, 1930s, considered Fred Harvey era. I'm not really a fan of the term Fred Harvey when it comes to describing some Native American silver and turquoise. I feel like it's maybe wildly used and sometimes shouldn't be used when it is. Also, old pawn, you've got to be extremely careful with that. A lot of people just throw the term around because they're not familiar enough, or they see that it's used or misused, and then it's like a carbon copy. Once a term is used and it's not appropriate, people can't discern when to use it and when not. That's a whole nother subject, a whole nother video, and I'm trying not to get too deep with this. I'm just trying to show beautiful design and some of the pieces out of my collection because people have asked. But again, a beautiful turquoise cuff, something that, again, I loved it. This one, it brings me great joy and it makes me very happy. I love the mounting. I love the stone. And again, as a silversmith, I kind of sometimes think the frame is more important than the stone, but then vice versa. I understand as a lapidary person that the stone is sometimes equally as important as the mounting or more so. This one is a definite a draw. There's a tie here. So we've got an incredible silver mounting and then a beautiful, beautiful spiderweb turquoise stone. Absolutely beautiful. Some people have said it's number 8. Mine. We'll get into that later. Not exactly sure. Can't confirm or deny that. But it's an incredible Navajo created. It is script signed, and we believe that it says Odeki. I'm still doing some research on that, so I'm not going to go there just yet, because if I don't know, I'm not going there. And then we've got this thick, beautiful cuff, and again, an amazing, 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 amazing turquoise gem. Gotta love it. It's fantastic. I'll dig in the box a little bit more, but I don't want to bore you or have you check out on me because that's not my speed. And in case you haven't figured it out, I don't like lecturing people. I don't like feeling like I'm speaking at you. I have a tendency to not want to do that. I'll get into just a couple more. I'm so sorry that I'm not more prepared, but well, I shouldn't apologize because everyone keeps saying to stop apologizing, so I take that back. On this, let's see here. This one, no, I'm not feeling it. I have so many of them, and all the Crown Royal bags, I seriously didn't drink all this. These were gifts from friends that were bartenders because they knew, well, I'm going to blame the friends that were bartenders anyway. No, seriously. They knew that I wanted to store my silver and to protect it. So that's what I do. This is my jam. So I keep everything in its own individual bag. I mean, this just keeps going and going. This is a little bit ridiculous, but I wanted to get a video up. I just did. I wanted to push myself, and here I am. Hopefully it's okay. Let's see. Let's go. Okay, we'll go with this one too. And then there were ones that were plain that I'll talk about in another video because there were ones that were just plain bands that are very amazing. This one, early on, I don't like admitting when I'm stumped or when I'm wrong. Not that I don't like admitting when I'm wrong, because you have to admit when you're wrong, because otherwise, like I've said before, it's not pretty if you pretend. This is, I'm going to draw a blank on the stone again. It's not turquoise. It's in the turquoise family. It's not howlite. I'll come up with it, and I'm sure I'm going to come up with it as soon as I'm off camera, because that's the way this works. But it's just an incredible cuff. But it's, it's Veracite. I believe it's Veracite. And I'm pretty sure, unless I'm, again, completely out to lunch. But sterling silver and beautiful. It's very large. So I'll show you scale-wise on me. It's incredibly, incredibly large. But a beautiful thing. Fantastic in terms of its scale and proportion. And I really think it's an awesome thing. I've really, really, really loved that one for a long time as well. And again, I thought turquoise at first, and it's definitely not. So again, I'll get into the specifics of stone. No, I got it stuck. I don't know how I got it stuck on me. I guess I'm wearing that one for the rest of the video. This one, I'm still researching the stone. I've had a couple different experts look at it. We're slightly confused. Matrix and coloration of the stone that runs through the turquoise, we still can't figure it out. So I'm not gonna be here to fight about things or disagree or have people lecture me on what it is. But we'll get into this, and just an incredibly large, beautiful turquoise stone has always made me very happy. Silver construction and fantastic. The next time I do this, and the next time I bring these out, I'm gonna have them in my light box, and I'm gonna have them camera down, so I will be able to show you greater detail. So just bear with me on this video just for a second and make me feel okay. And then I always bent the rules when I saw something that wasn't turquoise but was incredibly well made, and I always kind of judged the cuff bracelets on the artistry or the silver work that went into them. So again, my mindset was slightly different than other collectors. It didn't make me wrong. It made me different, you know? And there's this coral, red coral and sterling silver. Again, Navajo construction. You've got 4 bands of silver behind, and then this beautiful leafy, incredible mounting, and the stones are just incredible. And I don't polish my silver. Again, I'm a purist collector, so I don't polish my silver. If it is this finish, I leave it this way. I don't polish it. This is the way it is. So beautifully done, and I really love that one. A couple more of them, and then I will shut the video down for the night and decide to come back when I feel slightly more organized, because this is probably a trifling mess. But it's all right. I forgive myself. The ones that I had left that I just felt like stone-wise should be addressed, and construction, this one always had my interest. It's very large, natural turquoise nuggets, and then sterling silver. And again, look at the mounting and the silver work. They wrapped the individual bands with silver, and then they soldered that together, and then they soldered the whole thing together. So the construction on this was just incredible. And then of course the classic raindrops in between. I consider them raindrops in between. Natural turquoise nuggets, again, sacred, beautiful, extremely well made, and just a joy to see. And again, it's a cuff that I loved and wore and still do. Haven't seen these things for a very long time, so this is inspiring to me to get these things out. So thank you from my bottom of my heart for letting me share them very quickly tonight. And then there's this one, again, sterling silver, turquoise. We'll get into the mine on this one because it has been correctly identified. We have raindrop border. Again, when I get in close, when I get it back to my light box, you'll see the sawtooth border, more commercially produced, but again, very heavy silver weight, very well made, but more contemporary towards us than the tribally used items. So you've got that one as well, and just beautiful. And then we have this one and this one, which are very strong examples from the late 50s, early 60s. So modernist and beautiful, so asymmetrically set on this one. And the silver, the shield shape with hand stamping, again, commercially produced stamps there, but beautifully crafted sterling silver. Absolutely beautiful and wonderful. And again, thick sterling silver. You can see from the inside, very well designed and very well made. Just an incredible piece. And then the grand finale one for modernist, I've always loved this. Asymmetrically set 2 incredibly important turquoise stones. Just absolute beauties. No denying, not treated in any way. Natural color. 2 of them. And then this natural silver nugget patterning that were all little silver nuggets and little silver pieces. And then again, they went in and put a rope twist border in between 2 triangular shaped bands, and just remarkable. And I love how it's wider on one end and thinner on the other. Very much so a wearable sculpture. Very much so a wearable sculpture, and something that again was just a creation of an artist that had a beautiful day, you know, just an incredible day of creating. I think you kind of see from this sampling where my heart was when I started collecting. And you can kind of see the evolution of a collector. They're not in chronological order, but I think you can at least notice that there's a growth of being aware of not only the turquoise used, but the silver work that went into it and the artistry. I don't want to continue this so that I fill the space with not information. I never want to feel like I'm lecturing you, and I hope you don't feel that way. I hope you're happy to be here because I am absolutely happy to have you. This journey is going to be fantastic. And I'm just getting started. So again, I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate the love and the comments. And again, a special thank you to Tanya for earlier today. So if you missed our live together, please go over to my community tab, click the community link, and it will take you to the video that me and Tanya just got done a mere, I don't know, seems like maybe 2 hours ago or 2.5 hours ago. So thank you so much. I really am grateful and thank you. I don't know what else to say, but I love you very much and have a wonderful day. Mwah.